Ladies and gents, Dark Spider David here with another Game Pass or Pass the Game. I know I've been a little lax when it comes to putting these out. Oh, that was some phrasing for your ass. But yes, I'm going to try to make a much more diligent effort in trying to get some of these videos and episodes out, especially since quite a bit of content is dropping on the Game Pass for those Xbox users, including myself. For better or for worse, because we have a game here that is being talked about for all the wrong reasons, and that is for the game Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. Sounds like a title very ripe for a video game treatment. I mean, Dungeons & Dragons I always felt was a property that could definitely be brought to life in other formats beyond just the board game or the traditional pen and paper game that we've known for decades now. And it's very ripe, in my opinion, for video games, being able to explore more lore out of that mythology, the characters, the different races, all the different ins and outs, because I absolutely do love that lore, and I would love to invest myself a little bit further to the point where I would love to play some of the pen and paper games and start up my own game, dungeon mastering, all that kind of stuff. It really does intrigue me. Unfortunately, Dark Alliance, the video game, is not a good way to pave that road for anybody that might be a little unbeknownst to how Dungeons & Dragons works. So this game is not necessarily going to be doing people favors, but while that is, however, echoed by myself after finally playing the game through Game Pass, can't really bring myself to the hyperbolic lengths that some others have gone on record to do here on YouTube by calling this one of the worst games of 2021. Is this a good game? No, by any stretch of the imagination, it is not. It takes the D&D property and does some things that you would think would be clever, only to then go about them in the most blandest way possible. It's a hack and slash third-person game. However, it's very emphatic on co-op, and I figure, you know what, sure, I have friends to play with, and I did play the first time that I actually ran through this game. I played it with my buddies, Surface Assassin and Proudline from my Twitch community, and we played a round of a dungeon, and as well as one of the quests within the game, and we had fun, but at the end of the day, it was the fun that you can't really decide if it's fun because you were playing with your friends and alcohol may have been involved, or it's because the game is genuinely fun. And after finally really diving deep into the game by myself, staying offline and without co-op and just trying to absorb as much of the game as possible by myself, I can honestly say it was primarily because I was hanging with those friends. Because if you are planning on playing this game and going through the looting mechanics of hacking through these enemies, gathering materials, gathering equipment, and gathering loot so that then you can upgrade your own materials to then take on not only bigger and better quests, but also take on those quests on a higher difficulty level, then it's better to be done with friends. Because one thing that the game is really missing, and I don't know if it was due to faulty development time or a rushed crunch cycle or whatever the case may be behind the scenes, there has to be for us a game of this style that is trying to really emphasize that looting system of going in with your character, hacking away enemies from the D&D universe, and then getting pieces of armor, getting pieces of loot, coin, shards, and things like that that you can then take to your main hub world and be able to grind away within those menus and upgrade all the different attributes of your character and the armor and the pieces. That should all make for some really addictive stuff. I get that angle. It's just that the addictive stuff is not addicting. There's no addicting carrot on a stick type of mentality, because unless you're playing with friends to again keep the fun going, especially if you have voice chat enabled within the game or with a second party or third party rather like Discord, you're not really gonna have that much fun going through the cycle. Because if you think that jumping from one quest to another is gonna divulge something different as far as objectives are concerned, you're going to be gravely mistaken. Because as I grinded away in the principal quest before we got to the end game material, there's really not that much to really change one or distinguish one from the other, because it's really going through different hallways that are disguised as these environments that don't look too bad. You know, they kind of held together on their own, and they're very sharp and detailed, and look like they were taken out of a D&D book. But it really does rinse and repeat itself over and over and over. You go through these little crevices or these hallways that are disguised as these environments to then get to a point where there's a bunch of enemies waiting. You hack and slash, kill the enemies, loot the items that are nearby, and then move on to the next cycle. Either that, or you have to collect a particular MacGuffin. You collect these runes, or you collect these orbs, or these shards, or these tomes that then are used to activate a door, open it up, activate the lever, go up by elevator, rinse and repeat. Nothing changed. Certain names were swapped, and skins were changed for the enemies to disguise the different kind of places that you were at to fit the situation at hand. But overall, it is the exact same template, ending with a boss battle with the bar at the top, and of course the boss is then scaled to whatever point you are in the game with these quests, you know, leading up to the big baddie at the end, quote unquote. And it really does not change from there. Even as I navigated into the endgame material that are in the form of these dungeons, which are then color-coded on the map with these red icons indicating that, oh, these are going to be much tougher. Yeah, they're much tougher. In fact, I played some of these dungeons on the easiest, what's considered to be the easiest scale of level 1, and sure, the enemies dealt bigger damage than before, but again, that cycle is exactly the same. Go from point A to point B, hack away the enemies, go down the hallway, collect the loot, rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. And again, the only way I was able to find this enjoyable is to play with other people. By myself, I'm not going to say it was a terrible nuisance, because the game was definitely a little more polished than it was at launch when I played with my buddies through co-op, because when we were playing, there were times where we were either clipping through a mountainside or the mechanics felt a little floaty. By the point I jumped into the game weeks later by myself to see exactly if anything had changed with any updates, yes, it felt just a little tighter and refined, but it still didn't feel all that good. And those fundamental mechanics, those fundamental structures to make the game fun and addictive and keep me wanting to go back for more, just really were not there. Because sure, by the time we get to the dungeons, the enemies are much more high profile. You're dealing with these giants and these dragons and these different kind of enemies that sure bring a sense of scale, but they whip you out in a heartbeat. And now it's making me think, okay, I have to go back to those earlier quests and just grind away. But when your gameplay is not too satisfying, and the mechanics and how these set pieces are kind of organized together, or lack thereof, because it's literally just going from point A to point B, kill enemies, go down the hallway, kill enemies, go down the hallway, grab these items. It's just, it's almost like the game kind of cannibalizes itself in a way. And it's a true shame, because the game doesn't really look that bad or sound too bad. It's got great orchestral music, and some of these pre-rendered cutscenes do a good job of kind of selling the atmosphere and selling the world of D&D. And again, it still makes me wish that we can have a really amazing Dungeons & Dragons related game. But frankly, looks like we're still waiting. And during my time of trying to get to at least one dungeon to see exactly how far this game goes, I was just thinking about the Ascent the whole time and wanted to get back to that ASAP. So unfortunately, though it is free and available for free on Game Pass for those of you users who are signed up, I still have to give it a pass the game for Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance until they bring some form of DLC or some kind of expansion that can maybe change the overall core mechanics or the fundamental stasis of the game to a whole new level, like they were going to do with a game like Anthem that was criticized for a similar issue. Then maybe the game has potential. But being that the developer has been rather quiet after the launch of this game, I am just not personally holding out any hopes for that to happen. In the meantime, though, let me know what you guys thought of the game you have played, Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance, in the comments below. Make sure you like this video if you did like it, thumbs down if you did not. But if you like the videos even more than that and you want to keep in touch with Game Pass or Pass the Game or the PlayStation series I also have, as well as the Nintendo one I got coming up, maybe subscribe, turn on notifications, that way you can stay tuned. Make sure to check me out on twitch.tv/DarkSpiderDavid, link is in the description. I stream Mondays and Thursdays and any day of the weekend that I'm feeling like it. And until next time, guys, stay humble.